I know you're listening. You're here because something isn't right. Something feels twisted, upside down. Things don't add up. Hello, human. Welcome to our twisted universe.
In this episode, we talk to Bob from Exit the Matrix about recent activity at CERN.
Hi, and welcome to our Twisted Universe. Today we're going to be talking to Bob from Exit the Matrix. Hi, Bob. How's it going?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Today we thought we would be talking a little bit about CERN and what's been going on since they opened it up on the 5th of July. Have you seen anything strange since CERN fired up?
Not particularly. I think it's some that's got to kind of run its course, for us to maybe see some after effects.
Well, so what I've witnessed, we saw the South Dakota had some really weird weather. Did you see that?
Green sky.
I know there's been crazy stuff going on all over the planet as far as weather goes. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's affecting the magnetosphere on the Earth.
I don't recall ever seeing emerald green skies in South Dakota. And then they had those weird clouds too, didn't they? They had some.
They kind of look like UFOs.
Yeah.
It's like a half a funnel, but cut off halfway down, perfectly flat off the bottom. So it was more like a cylinder hanging down out of the clouds, multiple of them, but it never, fully
We could
touched
post
down.
some pictures. I have a couple saved. So
Yeah, we'll definitely post those. What else? They had a lot of freak storms out. Was it Switzerland or somewhere had like flash flooding?
It was in the vicinity of CERN. They had a huge hailstorm with like 2-inch hail
Oh yeah, they had that.
and flood. Yeah.
What else?
I did see something up in near the polar area that they were saying that the aurora borealis was like bigger than normal, and it was like greener and like brighter than normal. I did read some about that. Seemed like that was just within the last week or so also.
I saw something where they said that there was a hole torn in the magnetic field of the Earth for like 13 hours or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. That's what it was about. That was the instance they were talking about. About how the northern lights were just like really crazy during that time too. So
yeah, and they're not affecting anything. What else happened? The Georgia Guidestones got blown up. Was it the next day, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah, they bulldozed them the next day, and then they dug up the time capsule also.
Do you think they were after the time capsule? I mean, that was kind of weird.
Well, I mean, it had to be some they were definitely interested in. And the weird thing is that just the way that the explosion happened was odd too, because their cameras didn't pick it up exactly, kind of like the Pentagon video, the plane crashing into it. You get a split second, and boy, it doesn't look like a plane, but they didn't have any other cameras operating at that time apparently. So
yeah, and I heard it was really secured, right?
Yeah, the camera looked like one of those potato cameras, that catch the Bigfoot and UFO like sightings also.
Isn't that weird how they get all fuzzy and distorted, but we can take pictures of the universe out. We can magnify, nebulas millions of miles away, but we can't get the guy, 30 feet from the structure.
I mean, your phone, your tiny little camera phone is clearer than supposedly the security cameras.
Yeah, that are bolted down.
That's crazy. You know, I don't know if it's related, and I must sound like a whack job, but it was last Friday, and this has never happened. I saw like almost looked like bars, and it was all fractaled, rainbow prisms in my field of vision, and I wasn't looking. You know, if you look at a light and you see the bright light in your vision, that's what it looked like. But there was no light that shined in my eyes, and it was rainbow and it was fractal, and I thought that was really strange. And I don't know if anybody was having any eye anomalies or anything like that. It almost looked like I could see fractal. I don't know how to describe it. It was so strange, but that happened after CERN. And it's never happened to me in my life. Nothing like that. It's just a fun fact.
Interesting.
I know. I wanted to tell you, just to make sure you knew, that Snopes said that CERN did not open a portal into another dimension. I just thought I'd share that information with everybody before we really get diving in.
Well, I guess we're gonna wrap up then.
I mean, the world controllers love us so much. They always tell us the truth, right? I mean, their media arm, the Mockingbird media, they always tell us the straight up truth. So we can believe everything they tell us.
Yeah.
I'll have the story straight, so it's got to be true.
So you know a lot of fun facts about CERN. What do you know about CERN that you can share with our viewers?
Well, have you guys heard about the mock sacrifice that they did back a few years ago before they fired it up the last time?
Yeah.
I have seen video of that. Do you know a little bit more about it, or?
I don't know. There's just a lot of, just intrigue. Nobody knows for sure because, that's kind of a closed campus. But the interesting thing is that they did it in front of the Shiva statue.
Right.
At night. They're all wearing black robes. If you've seen the video, they supposedly somebody was just randomly filming it out their window, which I think they were probably in on it, and it was probably just trying to make fun at people. But pretty interesting though how occultic things always tend to surround these type of things. Like, remember the tunnel opening in Switzerland when they had all the weird, that whole like play that they did was just the weirdest thing ever. Like, it reminded me a lot of that, but just on a smaller scale.
It just makes you think because, most scientists are atheists, but they're doing these weird, like, occultic, ritualistic demonstration type things while they're opening up these, laboratories of such. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I did see a interesting talk about the Shiva statue at CERN. Even the people at CERN say that it's Shiva, but it's actually got more of a resemblance to Kali. It has the baby Shiva that the figure is got their foot on, and then the headdress is more, it's Kali's headdress.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It was Kali.
I was actually going to bring that up. Great. Yeah, great point. I mean, I don't want to take us off on a tangent because you guys know I'm kind of bad about that. I'm trying to keep it within like the confines. But if you know who Kali is in the Sumerian pantheon, that's the goddess Inanna, Ishtar, the goddess of war and destruction. And so it kind of goes back to all the Anunnaki stuff I've spoken about. But yes, I've actually heard that same thing about the description of the statue, that it actually could be Kali and not Shiva.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a more violent, more how do they differ, the two?
Well, I know that Shiva is he is connected to one of the Anunnaki gods. I cannot remember at this moment which one. I should have looked this up before I came on, but Kali is Inanna Ishtar, and she was like very or known for violence and war, and in fact, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, he even talks about how like she's trying to court him basically and like get him to go to bed with her, but Gilgamesh won't do it because he knows that she's kind of like a black widow goddess. Like if he was to go to bed with her, he would or she would probably kill him. So there's a whole interesting story in the Epic of Gilgamesh about that, but it's just kind of a peek into her persona. And in fact, as you guys probably know, the Easter is actually um, that's actually based on Tammuz and off of Ishtar and all that. I mean, all of those characters are that the eggs back in the days of the Babylonian times, they would actually dip eggs in blood, and it was a sacrifice they would make to Ishtar, and which nowadays everything's been spun, it's been incorporated into the church and all that. But if you follow the roots all the way back to the to Easter, it's actually not a Christian religion. It's or a Christian holiday. It's actually a pagan Babylonian holiday going all the way back to Tammuz and even back to Ishtar. So
Most of
sorry,
our
I went off
holidays
on one of
are
my tangents, but she's also known as the goddess of fertility too. So she's kind of weird. She's like, think about love. You got when you think about when you love somebody, it's kind of a love-hate thing, right? You can love somebody like the strongest ever, but sometimes you hate each other too. Well, she kind of personifies those two extremes, and that's why it's kind of interesting if that statue is of Kali. Just going back to those ancient beings again, which
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, then you can take it to the Book of Enoch, and same beings, that came down to Earth, and we're manipulating the fabric of this world. The DNA, genetics, everything. So
just makes you wonder why like it's even there,
Of
like
all the
why it's not
things.
being represented there, so
Well,
yeah.
they
And
developed.
in fact, I was reading somewhere somebody did a breakdown of CERN where it was actually built, and it was built over some ancient like temple, pagan temple,
That's right.
way back when. So I mean, it just the whole thing reeks of occultism, and
There's,
and
it's so
there,
weird.
there was something about it being on an intersection of multiple ley lines too. I don't know
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
anything about ley lines, but I know they're significant. But yeah, it was that's why the temple was built there, and then they built CERN where the same spot basically or centered on it.
yeah. Yeah, well, if you're going to harness that much energy, you want to get on those energy grids on the earth. Because if
Yeah.
you think about it, if we are living in a matrix, kind of a type of energy matrix, and kind of an energy grid would make sense that that's overlaid over the earth.
Right.
So if you look at a lot of the ancient structures, the pyramids, Stonehenge, I mean, that go around the whole world, they all are supposed to be on these ley lines, on these grid points, where different energy like points meet.
They're all connected through
It's
that
really
grid.
fascinating. Like, how did they even know, like, to build it there,
It amplifies.
I'm just
Yep.
wondering how they knew that would be a spot where the energy would be amplified there is all. Like,
The Anunnaki. No, they had
Well, because
instrumentation to measure it.
I
and they could
wasn't a part of this
track it down.
conversation.
Well,
It all-
everything is connected
Right.
in one way or another.
and the ancient knowledge has been hidden from us, but not from them.
Right.
Yes, they know how to harness. I mean, we've already gone over this about how they harness our energy, how they feed on it, how they use it. They use it's a currency. everybody thinks money's currency, but energy is the true currency,
Right.
and our energy is a currency.
Or spiritual energy or physical energy? I don't,
I
how would
think
you say?
I think
Both?
on multiple levels, because we are energetic beings, we're conscious energy, we're spiritual beings, and we also have these physical avatar bodies. But even our physical avatar body is connected to our spirit, to our whole, energy field, our conscious energies. What, you
Mhm.
know, that's what our mind is, while we're, how we think and everything. So, I mean, it's all connected. If you look at the chakra points and all that, um, I mean, even within our own bodies, we have energy grids. If you guys have ever, had Reiki done,
Yes.
We
then
all
you
do
would
that.
kind of, yeah, you
Yeah,
kind of,
right.
exactly. So, you know what I'm saying on that. When you have energy work done on your body, I mean, your body's broken down into different, energy grids essentially, or energy points or, levels or however you want to, explain it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a trip. So, what do you guys think about their logo? They're trying to say there's not 3 sixes in there, but I mean, I have eyes, I can see. Looks like a bunch of sixes to me. Am I seeing something different?
I saw at least 4, but still, there's 3 there.
Yeah, well, they try to stylize it just like the Trilateral Commission. They have 3 6s on their symbol. It's stylized in a way that they can try to say, oh, well, that's not what it's meant to
Yeah.
be. But if you guys realize, I mean, this all ties in still. The 666, the mark of the beast, right? Um, in the Bible. Well, think about this. What is our basic energetic makeup? It's 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. We are, the body is the beast. The when our spirit comes into this world, into this avatar, we've taken on. I mean, we're part of the beast system. Our body's part of the beast system. So it's not really a surprise that they would use that numerology, as in their design when they're basically playing with the elements of life down to the subatomic level.
I
Whenever
mean, they're,
I think, oh,
go ahead.
whenever I think of CERN, I think of this movie I watched. It's the Cloverfield Paradox, and it's basically it's the same thing, but they have the Hadron Collider in space, and it's basically like everything that could possibly go wrong happens in their experiment, and they get like transported into another dimension or alternate universe, and somehow like opened up a gateway for monsters to come in, and that's where the Cloverfield movie came from with the monsters. It's like the found footage video. It's just interesting to think it's like that's the same thing that they're doing on our planet right now.
Yeah.
And the catastrophic effects that it could have on our planet, even when it's not actually on our planet, is kind of crazy. That's what scares me about CERN. It freaks me out because what they're messing with, I just feel like, once you open a certain door, you can't close it.
Well, I mean, what makes man think they can control something like that, especially supernatural? I mean, it's no different than Stranger Things too. I mean, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Drip, drip, drip. Right?
Yep.
Do you think they were like foreshadowing or letting us know what they're doing with these movies?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it before. I mean, Hollywood, the movie industry, entertainment, it's all, the music industry, all of that. I mean, it's part of how they believe they have to balance out their karmic footprint, or, or their karmic, their karma here. They believe if they let out some of the truth, they can get away with the lies. They believe that they're balancing that duality out, truth and lies, and positive and negative. So, I mean, yeah, I think there's definitely some truth in it, especially, when you start looking into ancient history about the stargates and portals, that the Egyptians, the Incans, the Sumerians, all spoke about, it's not surprising that they're basically trying to do a modern version of the same thing.
So more than like going down to the tiniest, what did they call that? The newest.
Oh,
They call it the God particle. Was it the Higgs boson or
this
something?
round they went beyond that. It was pentaquarks, or what
Yeah,
they,
the
Yeah,
pentaquarks.
which are
Apparently, they said they found some new particles.
yeah.
I guess from this latest experiment they just did. So
Yeah, I know one of them was the pentaquark. It was theoretical until they were able to get to the energy levels they're working with on it now.
I
So
saw
there-
something interesting. I saw this video and somebody was watching like the live stream from CERN, and they were looking at like, I don't know, they were displaying data, and the date on CERN's website actually said April. I can't remember what year, if it was 2022 or if it was previous years, but it said it was in April, which I thought was really interesting.
So the experiment altered the clock, or
I don't know.
Or they did it in April and didn't tell us.
they did something in April and then they went back to fix what they screwed up.
yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So they're saying that they're just looking for the God particle and they're going down to the pentaquarks or whatever you call them. Or are they opening portals to another dimension? Because I mean, I heard they were trying to do that.
Well, you've always heard of like the old school like explanations of like witchcraft, right? Where you got to, you draw the circle, the protective circle on the ground with candles, and usually have a pentagram in the middle and all that. And as long as you do the spell within the circle, you're protected from what comes without the circle. But they like to invert things too. What about what's in the circle is what they're opening up, and maybe they believe whatever they can reach, that that they can stay protected from without that circle. Because I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's a giant circle, like just
Yeah,
I mean, you got energy particles, going, I don't even know, it's like billions of miles an hour or something, around
some particles were supposedly exceeding the speed of light, which
Yeah.
was considered a universal speed limit. But to your point, with the whole circle with the pentagram with them in the middle, here they've got the giant circle. I think it's like 20 miles across or 17 or something like that, somewhere around there. And then they've got Kali, the Kali / Vishnu statue in the middle of it, where they have their rituals before their experiment. It's definitely something along those lines. That's all true.
It just doesn't make any sense. They're like, oh, this is all purely scientific, and then it has all this, ancient religion,
occult connection.
Yeah, like
ley lines and weird statues.
All the stuff that they poo-poo when we talk about it. But
yeah.
Remember what Snopes said. I just wanted to make sure we were clear with that.
No portals were opened at this particle activity.
Wait, Snopes, isn't that the guy, his ex-wife and her boyfriend and their cats? Right?
Right, yeah. Those guys sitting behind the computer dictating to the rest of the world what's true and what's not true. I wonder where the money comes from too.
Yeah.
They're getting it all wrong though, because the time machine isn't a giant circle. It's a blue English police box. That one works fine.
Sorry, Bob, we're super nerds. We forgot to warn you.
It's all right. You got to be a little nerdy to be into the stuff that we're into. So
I think we need a doctor, to be honest.
What else is going on about CERN? So we had some weird weather. We had the Georgia Guidestones, weird emerald green skies in South Dakota,
Magnetic field holes.
Yeah. Holes in the
magnetic field holes.
There were some CMEs that fortunately didn't hit Earth, but there were a couple of CMEs in the last couple of weeks. Coronal mass ejections from the sun.
Interesting.
What else was there? There's been a lot of UFO sightings.
Mandela effects.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of that's true. I think only time will really tell with the Mandela effects, because all that stuff is like very subtle. They're subtle things that you would recognize differently.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, though, if this whole world is essentially, it's like really a matrix, and it's kind of built like the way that the Gnostics talk about, in the Nag Hammadi. And you guys know, right? The movie The Matrix was actually they actually based that off of the Nag Hammadi, the Gnostic scriptures, that's how they came up with the whole idea of the Matrix. And the archons, though, they use the computers or the machines, in the movie. But I mean, so it wouldn't be a surprise if they're messing around with the Matrix, this this construct, that we call the third dimension, that it could cause ripple effects or glitches in the Matrix. If you have that much energy and you're playing around with the magnetic fields and energy fields on the Earth like that, it's not a surprise that it could cause like little things like that. And we might not know now, but let's say like 2 years from now, we start looking back and things start seeming different. Wait, I don't remember this that way, and this doesn't seem right.
I find that a lot, actually.
I think if anybody really starts to like gut check it, the world we grew up in, it doesn't really feel like it's that world now. It doesn't to me. It feels like we've been pulled into a way different dimension. It doesn't feel familiar at all. I'm like, I can't say exactly when it started to feel strange, but it definitely was probably in the last 10 years, I'd say.
2012.
2012.
Yeah, when the calendar reset.
Wait,
And they also fired CERN in 2012.
That's true.
And 2016.
Yeah.
Going off of like energy and all that, I was thinking about how I thought it was interesting that they fired it on the 5th their time, but that would technically be the 4th here. And knowing what everybody does on the 4th of July, would that mean that you would be caught in like a low vibrational energy due to the fact that, maybe a bunch of people are intoxicated? I specifically didn't drink on the 4th because of this. Like, so.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Wow. Like, so I've talked before on, the last, sit down we had about how they actually, how they feed these archonic beings, or they use our energy, they like stadiums and stuff, how they design them in a way that it funnels that energy, that it amplifies it, people's emotions, which is just an expression of energy and consciousness and feelings. But it would make sense that they would fire it up right after the 4th, because I mean, you've got so much stuff going on. Like you mentioned, people drinking, spirits. You got all the celebrating, fireworks going on, just a lot of like, parades and a lot of energy just being put out in the atmosphere. And it makes sense that maybe they use that energy to help, do their experiments, they maybe somehow they what's the word I'm trying to use? They siphon it, maybe some of that. I don't know.
I'm just wondering how it could have possibly impacted like us as energetic beings, ultimately, because it was firing off so much energy at that time. I mean, just like a lot of things that I've heard is, you know, obviously drinking is a low vibrational thing to do, and that possibly, you know, going back to alternate dimensions and timelines and splitting of timelines, like, could, you know, you get stuck in a low vibrational timeline because of you being in that state, you know? So I don't know. It's just all, it all plays together. It, you know, it's like it all in a convoluted way comes together, which I just think is really interesting. So
It's not the first time I've heard. I've been hearing it for several years. We did have a guest on the other day. We'll be posting her video soon, but she said that they're absolutely trying to trap the human soul on this plane, to use us as like a slave race, basically. They don't want you to ascend to a higher dimension and connect with source, and they're trying to hold that frequency down. I mean, there's a lot of like psychic and people from that background that believe absolutely they are holding the human spirit down because it's our time to ascend.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, I believe that they've already been holding our spirits here from the beginning. You know, in the Book of Enoch, that's just, you know, part of that. It explains that. The epic, the creation epic in the Sumerian tablets essentially explains that too. You know, that they brought souls in from source, and that's what they use to empower their creations here. You know, and it's like it's almost like I've heard people explain, like when you go to the light when you die, you know, that you know, they make it very, it's very inviting. You know, you feel love, you see this bright light, and you have even family members or who you think maybe are coming to say hi to you and kind of like walk you down this path. But what if that light is what just sends you right back into another avatar? You know, it's just all a trick,
that's
maybe.
a scary thought.
I'm not planning on reincarnating here.
That's definitely a theory that I've read up on quite a bit and studied, and you know, I don't know if that's what I hang my hat on and believe, but I wouldn't be surprised. You know, you always hear about people that have multiple past lives. You know, there's even been some that have been documented where they can actually pinpoint who they said they were. They know
Oh,
what
yeah.
they did, like who they were married to, who their kids were, like all that stuff. So, I mean, just the fact that, you know, we could have had past lives or have had past lives might kind of lend to that theory.
That reminds me of, or it made me think of a movie, Logan's Run. So their belief system was that if they went to Carousel, you know, they got incinerated, but they believed they were going to renewal and they were going to come back as like, you know, Logan was Logan 6, and he was like his 6th iteration of himself. And they believed that when they died, they would be reborn here. And that's kind of that same concept, you know, you're going into the light so you can be regenerated into a new avatar.
But you're getting incinerated.
Yeah, well, that's the
Isn't
light.
that fun?
Light.
But it's a good party.
The
It's a good
flames,
party.
yeah. I mean, you know, they tell you a little bit of the truth. but it was the same, they had the same cyclic concept
Right.
of you know, you die
Reincarnation.
and then you just come back here.
Right.
You don't go on to your ascended life or anything. You're just stuck here, basically, on a broken record.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that essentially in the Nag Hammadi, that's how it explains it. You know, that when Sophia, when she you know, created her child, you know, like without her male counterpart, the male creator, knowing about it, Yaldabaoth, he said, I am the only God, I am the only one, and he created the world, and he created the angels, and then he created humans. And well, the humans, he actually basically like trapped the souls, here on earth, and used them to like run his world and everything, to to build this world, to manage it essentially. And so Sophia, she'd seen what Yaldabaoth did, so she went and sent the Christ, and he was supposed to come and teach man how to escape this matrix, how to escape this construct that the false, God that claims he's the creator, you know, that he had built and trapped souls in. So it's fascinating. If you guys ever get a chance, read the Nag Hammadi. It'll blow your mind. It's some pretty intense, deep stuff.
I'm trying to figure out, like, there's so much deception and so much of the truth has been hidden from us. I mean, where do you even find or begin to find the truth of all that? Do you think it's a gut check, or is there a reference that you would recommend?
I think you always got to go with your own intuition. I've always believed, study a lot, study far and wide, and you'll kind of start to paint your own picture in your mind and in your, what resonates with you, what, I don't know. I mean, it's just, that's kind of always what I've done, at least, and I'm not always saying all my theories and what I say is correct. Obviously, none of this stuff can truly be proven because it's all, kind of outside of our purview.
Yeah.
We're kind of limited in this avatar, this human avatar, on what we can sense, what we can see, what we can hear, everything. I mean, look how small the light spectrum we actually see. I mean, for all we know, there could be beings standing all around us all the time. You wouldn't be able to see them, unless you got some psychic abilities, that most people, are not attuned to.
I would
So,
say there are beings standing around you all the time. Maybe not at this moment, but I would say, yeah, for sure. There's so much out there that we don't recognize or see. I mean,
We
you
felt
can't
them.
even describe it.
So
My
What?
favorite thing is I know enough to know that I don't know.
yeah, I don't even know that much.
yeah, I don't claim to have the answers either. I just, I love connecting the dots and coming up with my own theories. And, it's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
for me though, I mean, at least, part of the fun is the journey, right? I mean, I don't understand people, and I'm not trying to put anybody down, but like your regular everyday sheep, I don't understand just walking through life and having no interest in truly knowing what you are, why you're here, what the truth is, what is true creation, where did we come from, where do we go? I mean, I can't imagine just sleepwalking through life, just go to work, eat, sleep, go to work, eat, sleep, and watch, football on the weekend, and that's how so many people operate though.
They're the NPCs of the
I
program.
was just going to say, if this truly is a
Could be.
matrix, we have non-player characters just to keep it interesting, for at least populated. So it's
That could be. That could be.
When you say like exit the matrix, for our viewers, what does that really mean to you? Like, what do you call the matrix?
Well, I mean, on the front of my page, there's kind of a little description. I kind of have it broken down. I kind of view like we live within multiple matrices. The biggest one is kind of what we're talking about now, like an energetic, like dimensional matrix that we're in. What we consider this reality, and then within that, our whole world is managed by a matrix too, and that is like, the system. That is the world controllers, the Illuminati, the I don't know, whatever you want to term them, but they're kind of the human agents that manage this world, and they that level matrix would be like media, it'd be religion, politics, entertainment, all of those things that they use to control us, dumb us down, misdirect us, you know, tempt us too. You know, I mean, it like you were talking earlier about alcohol and how that's like a low vibrational thing. Well, I mean, think about how much we're bombarded with every day to try to get us to do low vibrational things. You know,
Mhm.
pornography, alcohol, drugs, you know. I mean, there's so many things that we can get caught up in. And you know, and all of us do it, right? What the Bible's term sinning, you know. Obviously this world is built on sin. It's obvious. I mean, and there's a reason why I believe that we're tempted, and that's to lower that vibrational level. It makes us easy prey, because if we were all banded together and we were all at a high vibrational level, a high energetic spiritual level, and we banded together, they'd have no power over us. I mean, they couldn't. I mean, we'd blow them away we'd blow them out like a candle in the wind, right? But because of this matrix that they've woven around us, you know, we all just kind of lockstep, you know, go along with it, you know, and they feed off of us. It makes us easy targets. I mean, think about like a sheepfold, you know. You know, you try to you want to, you know, pen the animals in, you know, you want to keep them protected, but as long as you let them have some free reign within that on that mountainside or in that field, the sheep are happy. They think that, oh well, look at this, I'm getting fed, I'm protected. Here's the sheep herder, you know, and he's got his dogs, you know, protecting us from the wolves and the other stuff. And you know, and we get to just walk around, we get to, you know, have a great old time. We don't have much to worry about. But you know, that pen is their prison, and they don't even know it. And that's essentially kind of what that level of the matrix is in this world, you know. So very easy to actually step out of that matrix, because we right now what we're talking about, we're already, you know, being disobedient to that system. We're already
I know.
stepping outside of that sheepfold, or outside of that fence, you know. But now to get outside of that next level, that's I think that's a little more of a complicated endeavor.
Yeah. Yeah. You start to ascend, you know, spiritually, and there's always those distractions to pull your focus away from, you know, rising above. And like you said, you get outside of that, outside of the reach of that, to where that doesn't affect you. Then they pull out the big guns, and you start encountering a different level of distraction to try and pull you back, because they're clawing at you at that point.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I saw a meme the other day. Everything's gone up, right? We're in inflation, and the gas and the groceries and the meat and everything, but the beer has not gone up in price.
Yeah.
Yeah, $1 maybe.
The
Think
beer
about
is
it.
the same price, and you know, the truckers are still paying for the gas and all that. Like everything went up, but we're still gonna, you know. I just thought that was interesting. And we're from the Northwest, and so when everything was locked up, the pot shops were open.
Liquor stores,
The
pot shops were open, grocery stores were closed.
liquor stores were open, and grocery stores were open, and pot shops were open. That was it.
Makes you wonder if the strip clubs were open still too. Possibly.
They did
Maybe
have
in
a
some
they had a
cities.
drive-through one.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
They
they
did.
had drive-through church services. They did that out here,
Yeah.
you know. So
Just a fun fact, everything you just said, I mean, it's right there in front of you, folks. I mean, open your eyes, you can see it.
yeah, yeah.
So Bob, why don't you connect the dots for us a little more?
So just some I wanted to talk about. You know, as far as CERN goes, you know, if they are, if it's truly a portal, if they're trying to open up you know, other, you know, maybe a wormhole or a black hole or a dimensional portal or something. You know, we're not really sure what they're doing, and you know, maybe they are just totally just looking into energy particles, and that's all they really care about. But I mean, as we've spoken about today, I think we kind of have a feeling that that's not all they're up to. Um, but this isn't really any new fantastic technology, that they have. Maybe on during this Earth age it is, but in the ancient times, portals were well known. I mean, around the world. I mean, you have the Incans, the Mayans, you have the North American Native American, or sorry, the North American natives. You've got the Egyptians, the Sumerians. I mean, they all speak about portals. The Hindu Vedas. I mean, this isn't any new information. I mean, there's a you can look at pictures in down in Peru of Incan structures where they got these what they were even by the natives that still live in that area. They say that those were built by the gods, and that's how they would come and talk to their ancestors. They would come from the stars, walking through these portals, and if you look at them, they're just like these intricate stone doorways, and it's like a blank face, but somehow they had a way to activate these things. And I mean, that's just a lot of cultures around the world talk about that. So, as far as portals go, stargates, that's really not anything new. Is that what these scientists are trying to do? I can't, guarantee that, but I wouldn't be surprised. There's you guys remember back during the Gulf War, right? The first Gulf War with Daddy Bush.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing that our military did when we invaded Iraq was, do you guys remember hearing about what the first thing they did? They sent our military to the Iraqi to their museums. That was the first, to the Baghdad Museum, to all their major museums. They had our military set up posts outside these museums and take them over. And of course, our military, our government said, "Oh, well, they're just protecting all of those ancient artifacts and stuff." But the funny thing was, most of those artifacts were all looted and were stolen from these museums. Well, not too long before the Iraq war started, Saddam Hussein was out there saying that this is when he was trying to he said he was going to be the next Nebuchadnezzar, and he was going to rebuild, the ancient like Sumerian ruins and stuff, the ziggurat. And well, he was out there boasting about this, and he was saying that he actually discovered an ancient Sumerian stargate.
I heard that recently. That
Yeah.
is such a trip. So do
Yeah,
you think we went there to get the Stargate?
Possibly. I think it was on the, I mean, don't get me wrong, these people, they love to control the resources. So oil was obviously on their minds, gold was on their minds.
Right.
But the museums held a very high interest level to our military. I mean, they rolled up in there and they but the funny thing was they didn't stop anything from getting stolen or anything, because most of the stuff got stolen anyway. So was the military or agents working alongside the military? Were they actually going in there and taking these artifacts out? I think it's a pretty damn, good thing to think that they were. I think they honestly were. I mean, especially with Saddam was boasting about rebuilding Babylon, and he was going to be the next Nebuchadnezzar, and he'd found a Stargate. I mean, our military and our government, they study the ancient Sumerian stuff. Trust me. They don't think this stuff is hocus pocus or mythology. They believe that the Sumerians had contact with a superior advanced race. That's what helped raise up the the first human civilization, and that they'd actually given human beings these super advanced technologies and stuff, or at least they had used them on Earth at a time, and perhaps they hidden them from humans, or they took some of them back with them. But I guarantee you that our military was looking for some ancient goodies too while they were down there.
I don't doubt it.
That's so mind blowing.
Yeah,
That's such a cool thought, though.
we'll have to do an episode sometime on the Tower of Babel, because it's not what people think. the tower. It's not what people think, what they've been taught in Sunday school about the Tower of Babel. Because the Tower of Babel's in the Sumerian tablets too, and there's a lot more detailed account of what it was. And I don't want to get into that too much today, but one day we'll have to do a show on that because talking about exiting the matrix and all that, it might tie in a little bit in with that. So
Interesting.
That's interesting. Wow, my mind is blown right now. It's so trippy. Well,
So
cool.
that's kind of it. I mean, I didn't want to go into too much details, but I mean, anybody can go look up, Incan portals, Incan doorways, Egyptians. I mean, there's even a Sumerian tablet that shows the god Enki, and he's standing in this doorway, and there's these like little like swirls all the way around it, and then a solid like block frame around it, like he's walking through a portal. I mean, this is on stone. I mean, so from thousands of years ago. So, imagine ancient man. That we're always told that they were just barely coming out of hunter-gatherer mode. I mean, how would they even have the imagination to depict a stargate or a portal like that?
They had some
I
good
don't know.
science fiction writers.
I guess.
They had hallucinogenic drugs and dream walking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
But maybe those hallucinogenic drugs allowed them to see some things that maybe they weren't meant to see.
A little ayahuasca.
Yeah. Yeah.
here we are, like you were saying, we see a very narrow spectrum, and those sorts of things could be going on around us on a daily basis, and we wouldn't see it. The sky could be full of craft that we don't see. Our cities could be like a suburb of an even larger planetary complex that's hidden from view from us because we can't see that frequency. So therefore we can't see that dimension. And yet it's here, just not here.
Just like
I mean,
Bigfoot.
It occupies the same space,
we
just
mentioned him.
different plane in that space.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Like could be a lot going on all around us. It kind of, what you were just saying, that reminded me of our last talk we had last time about when shoot, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I had a really good point to make too. Maybe they're messing with me right now, huh?
I hate when that happens.
We could be a suburb of a city that we can't.
Oh yeah. How the Anunnaki, how they actually downgraded our DNA and all that, and they shortened our lifespans. That you never know. Maybe we had a wider visual, light spectrum back then. Maybe we could see auras, easy. We could see into the spiritual realm, and that could have been just a further degradation and manipulation of our species.
Yeah.
Well, for sure, we're being dumbed down. I mean, it's obvious they've reduced the attention span. They're calcifying the pineal gland, and that's what gives you vision. So, I would say if you want to know more and see more, work on that first. Decalcifying the pineal gland and meditation for sure will open up that frequency a little better.
Most definitely.
All right. Well, it's been a great talk today, Bob. We're looking forward to having another chat with you. The Tower of Babel sounds fascinating. So if you want to come back on anytime soon, we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. As always, just love talking to you guys, and yeah, I think we definitely should do this on a regular basis. And I'm hoping I'm bringing people your guys' way. I know I've got a pretty large following, and it seems like they really enjoyed the video we did last time. I'm sure they're gonna love this one, and help you guys out, and you guys are helping me out. You're giving me a voice too, so I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. Come back soon for more great videos on strange and unusual topics: psychics, hauntings, energy healing, UFOs, entities, and other twisted shenanigans. Keep listening for a short clearing prayer.
We welcome all higher dimensional beings, archangels, and spirit guides in love and light. We speak to you from our heart to the Creator being. We are shrouded in light and love and are protected. We release any attachments or agreements that are not in our highest good and greatest good. We ask you to go in peace. The Creator welcomes you. You are healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened. You are healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened. You are surrounded with the Creator's light and love, safe to leave and ascend to your highest good. We ask the divine beings to help you move into your perfect place. Go in peace and love.